Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video today, and today I'm going to be doing my NFL Week 4 power rankings. What a week we saw this previous weekend, well, including Thursday as well, Thursday Night Football. A lot of upset wins. I mean, even going to Monday night, Commanders going into Cincinnati, getting a win. You had, unbelievable win for the New York Giants, Carolina. I mean, some great wins, unexpected wins as well. And it, after what we saw this past week, it really makes it harder for at least me, and I would think for other people to make their power rankings, especially when you have losses like the Raiders and the Browns and the Bengals took to the Commanders, the Panthers, and the Giants, and then when you have a game like when the Houston Texans, who were 2-0 and were very high, going to Minnesota and get pounced the way they did. And I'm saying that as a Texans fan. So, I think if I look at the previous couple weeks doing power rankings, or I can look at, different weeks last year, I think this is one of my hardest weeks having to do power rankings. And we're going to start as I always do, 32-1. Let's get it. All right, 32. I think 32, even though we saw some great upsets, I think 32 is pretty obviously. It's pretty obvious, and it's the Tennessee Titans. The Titans are 0-3. They look terrible. Last week I had them at 30. I had the Giants and the Panthers higher than them, but both the Giants and Panthers had great wins this past week, so Titans deserve to be last. They lost to the Packers 30-14. Will Levis continues to look terrible, and I wonder, when the Tennessee Titans will potentially start to have the conversation about a quarterback change. I don't expect that to pop up until another couple more weeks, around another 2 or 3 weeks, but it's been pretty horrendous, and I think Will Levis needs to get his crap together now if he wants to remain the starting quarterback, because it's been pretty bad. At 31, I have the team that probably had the most embarrassing loss of week 3, and that is the Jacksonville Jaguars. 0-3, preseason number 28, lost to the Bills 47-10. That was a bad loss. I was expecting the Bills to win. I think pretty much everybody was expecting the Bills to win, but I didn't think it was going to be that bad. I thought the Bills were going to win in the area of 10 to 14 points, maybe at the most 15 to 17, but I did not expect the Bills to win that game by 37. Let's not forget that even though the Jaguars had a collapse last year, Trevor Lawrence still had a good season. They competed with teams. They beat these Buffalo Bills in London by 5 points. So, it was unexpected to me how bad they were in this game. And I know we saw them lose their first 2 games, but let's be honest. They lost a road game to I think that was a home game. They lost the game to one of the best defenses in the NFL in the Browns, and their first game was facing, I think, probably the best wide receiver, or one of the best wide receiver duos in the NFL, in Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. And both of those were close games. It's not like they got blown out by the Browns or got blown out by the Dolphins. They were close games. This was their first game where they got their butts kicked, and that was unexpected for me. I thought the Jaguars were going to lose. I thought they were going to lose probably by double digits in the area of 10 to 15, but I did not expect them to lose by 37 points. Terrible loss for them. All right, at 38, at the Raiders, 1-2, previously number 23, lost to the Panthers 36-22. Even though it was a 14-point game, this was a bigger blowout than 14 points. I thought it was unfortunate that the Raiders couldn't beat the Panthers, who looked like the worst team in the NFL throughout the first 2 weeks, especially when the Raiders had such a good win in week 2 against the Ravens. But it was very unfortunate. But that's what can happen when the Panthers make a quarterback change like that. I expected the Panthers to be competitive against the Raiders, but I definitely expected the Raiders to win. So that was surprising to me. I thought Andy Dalton was going to have a good game. I thought the Panthers were going to be competitive, with the QB change. But one thing I did not expect from them to do was win, and to win in a blowout. All right, 29, I got the Cleveland Browns 1-2, preseason number 21, lost the Giants 21-15. I think it's pretty embarrassing that they lost to the Giants. I think the Giants have a solid team. They got a good defense, mainly a good defensive line. They have a good running back. They have a great rookie wide receiver, but quarterback, they let Daniel Jones throw for nearly get 260 pass and rushing yards. He threw 2 touchdowns. I know Daniel Jones showed some good things a couple years ago, but look at last year. Look at what he did last year. Look how he's been so far this year. I'm not saying Daniel Jones is incapable of a bad game, but I think Daniel Jones is sure as hell should be having a game like that against this Browns defense. A Browns defense that, did a solid job against Dak in week 1. They did a really good job against Trevor Lawrence in week 2. This was the first quarterback to really embarrass their defense, and it was Daniel Jones. So look at what they've done in the first 3 weeks of the season. Their quarterback has looked absolutely awful in Deshaun Watson. That's one thing. They started off the season by losing and getting their asses kicked by a team in the Dallas Cowboys, who in these previous 2 weeks have gotten their butts kicked as well. After the Cowboys beat the Browns badly. And then in week 1, they had trouble beating an 0-3 team in the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have been absolutely terrible. We just saw the Jaguars lose by 37. The Browns beat them by 5. The Browns could barely, beat the Jags. So I think the Browns have looked really bad, and the fact that their defense gave up those numbers to Dan Jones was really embarrassing. And I thought my only defense for the Browns before was, okay, well, they have a bad quarterback, but they have a great defense behind that quarterback. That's not what I saw last week at all. So, yeah, especially going up against Daniel Jones. All right, at 28, I got the Patriots preseed number 26. They lost to the Jets at 24-3. Obviously, things weren't great for the Patriots. But if I look at them offensively, I thought it was a bad defensive performance for the Patriots. I can't give excuses there, but I know it is a nightmare to go up against that Jets defense. So I know the Patriots offense doesn't seem good because it's not. But here's one thing. In the first 2 weeks of the season, the Patriots' run game was really good. They couldn't get that going against this Jets defense because that Jets defense is elite. And if you can't get the run game going, you gotta get something going through the pass game. That's even harder to get going against this Jets defense. So I think the Patriots have to be worried about their defensive performance last week against the Jets on Thursday Night Football. But going up against that Jets defense on a road game, because they're good. Their defense is good anywhere, but their defense is really good at home, and so that's just a tough matchup for a Patriots offense who really their only strength offensively is running the football, and having their quarterback make some plays here and there. And if your run game isn't going for you, they're not going to get their pass game going against that Jets defense. At 27, I got the Panthers 1-2, preseason number 32, beat the Raiders 36-22. Great win for the Panthers, but I still got them in the around bottom 6. 26, I got the New York Giants 1-2, preseason number 31, beat the Browns 21-15. I think it was a very impressive win for the New York Giants. Not only to beat a great defense and to get a win against them, but also the fact that it was a road game. Browns defense, just like the Jets, the Browns defense is good anywhere, but their defense is even better at home. And Daniel Jones, who's been considered one of the worst quarterbacks in the National Football League, went into Cleveland, threw 238, ran for 20 rushing yards, threw 2 touchdown passes, put 21 points on the board, and the Giants got a win in Cleveland. I think that's very impressive, but we'll see how they do tomorrow night in New York against these Dallas Cowboys. At 25, I got the Cincinnati Bengals 0-3, previously 22, lost the Commanders 38-33. It was a disappointing loss for the Bengals, but I think if you look offensively for this Bengals offense, they've been really good. Joe Burrow's been really good. Not in the first game, Joe wasn't, but in these last 2 games, Joe's been really good. The offense has been really good. They've been clicking, but their defense against Washington was terrible, and that was not the case in the first 2 games. Look at last week against Kansas City. This Bengals defense held Patrick Mahomes to 157 passing yards. The Chiefs only put up 25 points of offense against the Bengals. Then 16 points given up against the Patriots. So, in the first 2 weeks of the season, they gave up 41 points. In week 3 alone, they gave up 38. So their defense in the first 2 weeks was pretty solid, but the other night on Monday Night Football, it was absolutely terrible. And if Joe Burrow and that offense got the defense that they got in the first 2 games, a defense that intercepted Patrick Mahomes twice, a defense that held the Patriots to 16 points, then the Bengals would have won this game easily. That wasn't the case. We have yet to see really rarely the defense and the offense both playing both playing great football. Week 1, the defense did a good job. The offense was terrible. Week 2, the offense was okay. They were doing good things, and the defense was pretty solid, getting 2 picks off of Mahomes, keeping them to 25 points on the road. And then the other night, offense was outstanding, but the defense is absolutely terrible. We'll see if the Bengals can come back. There's only like 6 teams that have started off 0-3 out of like 255 that have made the playoffs. So it's very disappointing for the Bengals so far. 24, I got the Dolphins. They're 1-2. Preseason number 19 lost to the Seahawks 24-3. And now the Seahawks are going to be on their. Now the Dolphins are going to potentially be on their 3rd quarterback. Things aren't looking too great in Miami. All right, 23 got the Bears 1-2. Preseason number 18 lost to the Colts 21-16. A lot of people are hating on Caleb Williams, but what I've seen in him is that each game he's getting better and better. This past game we saw him throw for well over 300 passing yards. Now still there are being mistakes. There's still a bunch of mistakes that Caleb Williams are making. He's throwing a bunch of interceptions for starters. Not enough scoring drives. When he is making good throws and then settle for a field goal or turn the ball over. Now the Bears will start winning football games if Caleb Williams cuts the turnovers down, because I've noticed each week he's gotten better and better. Week 1 was horrendous against the Titans. Week 2 against a good Texans defense, he goes from absolutely horrendous then to, making some good throws, but here come the turnovers, so he's throwing a couple interceptions. But at the same time, he couldn't really throw deep balls, couldn't really, connect on passes over 20 yards. Then this week against the Colts, he's starting to do that. He's starting to really, show the talent of his arm, but at the same time, he's still throwing picks. So if he can cut the turnovers down and bring more scoring drives, he's going to look really good. But right now, that has not happened so far. At 22, I got the team that beat the Bears at the Colts. They're 1-2. Previously, number 24 beat the Bears 21-16. Good win for the Colts, but Anthony Richardson doesn't look too good, and I'm not too impressed with him. At 21, I got the Broncos. I thought the Broncos had one of the most impressive wins of week 3 to go into Tampa Bay, a team that absolutely went into Detroit a couple weeks ago and had a great road win. Baker's been fantastic, and to hold them to 7 points, and for their rookie quarterback to have an amazing game like he had, through 170 passing yards in the first half, thought that was a great performance for them and their team. So had them last week at 29. They move up to 21. At 20, I have the Arizona Cardinals. They're 1-2. I keep them at the same spot. Look, I don't think there's really no reason to move the Cardinals at all. It's just the fact that they lost a Detroit Lions team, who's a great football team. So, yeah, I'm keeping them at the same spot. 19, I got the Dallas Cowboys. They're 1-2. Preseason number 12. Lost to the Ravens 28-25. Good second half performance, but that's you're down big at the end of the game. We've seen Dak do that a bunch. That's not something we're not used to. So yeah. At 18, I got the 49ers are 1-2. Preseason number 7 lost to the Rams 27-24. I thought it was very disappointing that the 49ers were not able to keep a big lead against this Rams team, who doesn't have Cooper Kupp, doesn't have Puka Nacua. So, and then the injuries for me are a little bit concerning for the 49ers. Still no Debo, still no CMC. George Kittle might be back this week, but look, not only the fact that it was another terrible loss for them, but also the fact that they're injured, and the third fact that they're 1-2. I'll probably move them up if they get a win this week, but we'll see what happens. At 17, I got the Falcons. They're 1-2, preseason number 17. Just like the Arizona Cardinals here, They lost to a great team. They lost the Chiefs 22-17. They competed with the Chiefs. Obviously, they couldn't get the dub, but it was a very close game against the Super Bowl champions. So I'm not going to hurt the Falcons at all, keeping them at 17. At 16, I got the Commanders. They're 2-1. Previously number 27. Great win, beating the Bengals 38-33. It was an absolutely outstanding win for these Commanders, and for Jayden Daniels to really have the best game of his young career so far. We've seen 2 good games before that, before this game, but it was really him showing the talent in his run game. And he would make some solid throws, but this game is really starting to show the talent of his arm, and you combine the talent of his arm and the talent he has running the football. He is a special quarterback. And doing what he's doing so far, 3 games in, it's scary. And it looks so far, I think it's too early for Caleb Williams to start talking about this, especially when he's done some good things, but also has done as the same level of bad things. It looks like right now, for the second straight year, the second overall pick is better than the first overall pick. At 15, I got the Rams. They're 1-2. Previously beat the 49ers, and they were previously at 25. Great win for the Rams, but we'll see if they can keep it up this week, especially without their 2 best wide receivers. 14, I got the Ravens. They're 1-2. Previously had them at 15. They beat the Cowboys. I'm not going to freak out about the Ravens win. I think it's not moving them up too much, because I'm disappointed in the fact that that they were so bad in the second half and almost blew a lead. And also the fact that they're 1-2, and they still have a very hard schedule coming up facing the Bills and the Bengals. All right, at 13, I got the Chargers. They're 2-1, previously number 11. Great start off the season for them, but not a great game last week against the Steelers. Although the Steelers are a great team and a good defense to go up against, so I'll cut the Chargers some slack. And especially since Justin Herbert got hurt in the third quarter. But at 12, I got the Green Bay Packers. They're 2-1, previously number 14. Great win for them. Although I will say it was against the Tennessee Titans. I think Malik Willis has looked good in his 2 starts, filling in for Jordan Love. I think the Packers have looked good. But if we're going to be real, it's been against the Colts and the Titans. I'm excited to see what happens this week facing against some harder competition going up against the Vikings. At 11, I got the Buccaneers 2-1. Previously, number 2, they lost to the Broncos 26-7. I had the Bucs pretty high last week after their win against Detroit, because I thought that was a terrific win against the Lions. But the Bucs go down, and I got them at number 11 now. I got the Texans at number 10. They're 2-1. Previously number 3, lost to the Vikings 34-7. I know it was a bad performance for my Houston Texans, but at the same time, this Vikings team is pretty damn special. I mean, they got the best wide receiver in the NFL. They got a good defense so far, a good defense that has made trouble for 2 good quarterbacks and 2 good offenses in these last couple weeks against C.J. Stroud and Brock Purdy. And holding those 2 quarterbacks and those 2 offenses to only 24 points. Their defense has been really good in getting a bunch of turnovers against those 2 QBs. And also, we've seen Sam Darnold have success. We've seen Aaron Jones doing a really good job as the running back. So this was a tough loss for the Texans. But I think this was more about the Vikings being a great team than the Texans being a terrible team. This was a bad performance on the Texans' end, but this was more of a good performance by the Vikings, if you ask me, than a bad by the Texans. Although this was a bad game for them and a bad performance, I think this was a true good performance for the Minnesota Vikings. At number 9, I got the New York Jets. Are 2-1, previously number 13. Great win for them on Thursday Night Football, 24-3. We'll see what happens this week, going up against a better defense than the Broncos. At number 8, I got the Seahawks. They're 3-0, previously number 16. Great win for Seattle against Miami. We'll see the challenge of Monday Night Football against the Lions this upcoming week, though. At 7, I got the Saints. Are 2-1. Previously number 5, lost to the Eagles 15-12. Not going to overreact with the Saints losing, especially with the fact that it was against a good Eagles team so far this season. But it is a little concerning that they did have a very close game at home like that and lost, especially when they had the game in their hands. At 6, I got the Lions 2-1. Previously number 9, beat the Cardinals 20-13. Great win for the Lions to bounce back after last week losing. At number 5, I got the Eagles for 2-1. Previously number 10, beat the Saints 15-12. Great road win for the Eagles. with Devontae Smith getting, hurt late in the game, without A.J. Brown, going up against a good defense so far this season, for the Eagles to win a game like that shorthanded. The Eagles haven't been terrible this season. I mean, they had a great week 1 win against against the Green Bay Packers. Then week 2 obviously was a bad finish. Yes, there was a bad coaching decision, but the Falcons are a good team. And the Eagles were very competitive and really controlled most of the ball game against the Falcons until the end when Kirk Cousins led the game-winning drive. And then this week last week they played the Saints, and obviously they almost won. Or sorry, they did win. And they won shorthanded. So the Eagles haven't looked terrible so far this season. At 4, I got the Pittsburgh Steelers at 3-0. Preseason number 8 beat the Chargers 20-10. Justin Fields looks great. He looks elite right now, and the defense looks even better. All right, number 3, I got the Minnesota Vikings at 3-0. Preseason number 6 beat the Texans 34-7. I've said, they look dominant right now. To me, they look like the best team in the NFC. Obviously, that could change, but right now they are to me. At number 2, I got the Buffalo Bills at 3-0. Preseason number 4 beat the Jaguars 47-10. I think you could make an argument to put them at number 1. But at number 1, obviously, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. Preseason number 1 beat the Falcons. The only reason I got the Chiefs as number 1 is just because of the fact that, start off with the fact that they're the Super Bowl champions, and then go to the fact that they've had three very tough matchups to start off the season and won all of them. Now, I'm not saying the Bills haven't. I mean, the Bills faced the Cardinals, faced the Dolphins, faced the Jags. Those are some decent teams, but those teams, I don't think come close to facing teams like the Ravens and the Bengals and the Falcons. So, I think the Chiefs have had a harder schedule so far. Also been a little bit banged up. I think both teams have looked very good. I think both teams can make an argument for number 1, but I think I'm going to lead toward the Chiefs right now. And I definitely could switch next week with the Bills going into Baltimore. If the Bills can get a win in Baltimore, I definitely could see the Bills moving up to number 1. Let me know your thoughts on my NFL power rankings going into week 4. That's the video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace out.